And we're live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Let's Build a Story with Anoushka. Today, she's going to explain to us various elements of storytelling, and we're going to make some stories on our own too. My name is Shreya, and I'm going to be your host for this program. Anoushka, to introduce her, is a student from Bombay, India, and she loves reading stories and telling stories. Some of her favorite books are Harry Potter, Percy Jackson, and she also likes reading various folklore from India. In her free time, she enjoys spending time with her family and friends, and she's very excited to conduct this. Over to you now.
Okay. So now let's start the session. Let's build a story. First, let's talk about the main elements of the story. There are 5 main elements of the story: the introduction, the beginning, the problem, the climax, the solution, and the ending. The introduction. It's when the author introduces the characters and the settings. So the characters are the people who are involved in the story, and the settings are the different places. Beginning. It's when the story starts. Like it could start with a long time ago or once upon a time, etc. Problem. It's the conflict that affects the characters or causes big disasters, but it's usually solved at the end. So when the main characters or the protagonists, when they need to overcome a big challenge, it's the problem. The climax. It's when the story is at its point of highest tension and drama. So it's pretty self-explanatory. The solution. It's when the problem is fixed and the challenge is overcome. Ending. It's when all the loose ends are tied up and when all the action is over. So after this, the story comes to an end. Choosing a point of view. A point of view is when you narrate from the first, second, or third person. The first person. The story is told from the view of I. The narrator is either the main character and directly affected by the unfolding events, or the narrator is a secondary character telling the story that's revolving around the main character. So you use the pronouns I, my, mine, etc. The next is the second person. It's this type of story is told directly to you, and the reader is the participant in the action. The third person, the story tells what he, she, or it does. The third person's narrator perspective can either be limited or omniscient. Limit the limited the narrator whose perspective is limited um, tells the point that narrates the story from one character's point of view, and the omniscient narrator knows everything about the characters and the story.
So, Anoushka, I
Developing.
have a question.
Yeah,
Can you give us an example for each of them?
sure. The first person, I walk down the street. So it's telling the story is talking about me as the main character. So this is the first person. Second person, if I say you walk down the street, it's talking about you as a participant in the action. Third person, suppose I say Shreya walk down the street. It's talking as the narrator who is telling about Shreya who is walking down the street. Developing characters. In order to develop a living, breathing character, it's important to know way more about the character than you will ever use in the story. Here are some examples of character details that you can develop for your characters. What's their name? What is their age? Their pets? Their hobbies? Their job? How they look? Their residence? Their personality? Favorite colors? The friends? their favorite foods, their phobias, their faults, their dislikes, their secrets, and their likes, etc. Now, imagining all these characters will help you get to know your story, your characters, but your reader will probably not need to know any more than the four most important parts: thought, speech, appearance, and action. The thought. You need to bring the reader into your character's mind and show them what they're feeling, what they're thinking, their hopes, their fears, etc. Action. You need to show the reader what kind of person your character is, what's their personality, and etc. And you need to describe their actions instead of simply listing the different adjectives. Speech. You need to develop the character as a person and don't just have your character finish the plot. Appearance. You need to give the reader a visual understanding of the character. How does your character look? You need to describe it for the reader to understand.
So when you talk about action, what do you mean, like by describing actions rather than simply listing adjectives? Can you explain?
As I could just say, suppose I say Shreya was sad. Instead, I could say Shreya tried to hold back tears and bit her lip. So this is showing that Shreya is sad instead of saying that she is.
Okay. So you want to show and not tell them.
Yes.
Okay.
Develop. Now, for example, I want to develop a college student persona for a short story that I'm writing. What do I know about her? Her name is Jen, short for Jennifer Mary Johnson. She is 21 years old. Okay, I don't know who did that. Sorry. She she is a fair-skinned Norwegian with blue eyes, long curly red hair, and is 5 foot 6 inches tall. So now I'm explaining how does she look? What is her appearance? Contrary to the stereotype about redheads, she's actually easygoing and rather shy. She loves cats and has two of them, named Bailey and Allie. Now I'm explaining her personality. What does she like? What now? She's a technical writing major with a minor in biology. I'm telling what's her hobbies, what is she good at. Jen plays the piano and is an amateur photographer. She eats pizza every day for lunch and loves red rose tea. She cracks her knuckles when she's nervous. Now, if I say she cracks her knuckles when she's nervous, I'm telling you her habits. Her mother died recently, so I'm telling you her memories. Now, let's build the first story. I've given you the introduction and the beginning, but we need to create the next part together. Anna had just moved in. It took a long time to travel to the new house, so she reached the house in the evening. She did a quick check of the house and went to sleep in the bed, which was one of the only furniture that had arrived. The next day, when she was exploring the house, she stopped on a door. She hadn't seen that door before. It wasn't there last night. Cautiously, she turned the handle. Now, who wants to continue next?
Can I continue?
Sure.
Okay. So once she opened the door, and then she saw this mysterious-looking tiny tunnel. So since Anna was a girl who loved mysteries and adventures, so she said, "Okay, come on, let me go." Then when she went inside, she figured out that it was a tunnel that was leading across the whole of her house.
Okay. Who wants to go next?
I'll go. Tiny tunnel inside her house, right? So she enters the tunnel and she decides to go the entire length of it. So she keeps digging and going through it. And suddenly she comes upon another door. And she cautiously turns that door's handle as well. And she suddenly finds a huge pile of just gold sitting there, and there's jewels, and it looks like it's a pirate's the jewels they collect, right, from the different adventures. It's all of that.
Okay, so now we need to create the problem of the story. Who wants to?
I'll go next.
Sure.
So when she goes in that, and when she sees the gold, suddenly from some other door of the other side of the room, the pirates whom the gold belongs, they come inside when there is no place to hide for her.
Now
I'll go next.
We've created the problem. Who wants to go next? Okay, Shrikar.
So do I have to go to the climax now?
We can elaborate on the problem.
Okay. So she finds that each pirate has a gun, a Glock 17, and they have a sword. And there are 25 pirates there, and only one of her. She's alone, she's scared. She tries to back out, but then the door closes suddenly and locks itself.
Okay, now we need to move on to the climax. Who wants to go next?
Can I try going?
Well, why don't we give everyone else a chance?
It's okay. Akshay can go.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so when she goes inside, she finds out that she was actually also a pirate, because when she finds and sees other pirates, she starts acting like them. So then she thinks, wait, but my family doesn't have any pirates in them. How can I be one? And then she figures out that she
No,
is
wait,
actually
slow down. We need to tell the climax, that this could be the solution of this story. She finds out that she is their long lost friend, maybe a comrade, could be. But first, what's the climax?
Maybe we can go. That first she's scared and she hides behind the pile of gold, and she hears them saying that all the gold is stole from some other countries or some other places, and they're trying to hide it.
and then then after the climax, it can be like, then she figures out their plan, and then when she gets to know that she's also a pirate, and all the pirates have this strange power to lock doors or unlock or do things, so she quietly goes out of the door and then she goes.
I really like
Goes
that
out.
that solution. And then to add to it, Ado, he said for the climax, right? She's also hiding, right? So there's nowhere to hide. So she either has to become friends with all the pirates, or she has to like fight and like find her way out of the tunnel.
Yes,
Or
you
maybe
never
she can
know.
disguise herself.
How will
Sorry?
she do that though? She could disguise herself as another pirate. Okay, suppose she does that. So then what happens next?
Then she can make up a name for herself and say, like when she heard a name of the person saying, and then she got to know that all pirates have this like names that are similar. So she tried to make a name that is similar to them, and then she's like, oh, and then the pirates actually don't have a really good brain, so they're like, oh, where have you been and all and stuff. And then she
Went missing, trying to find gold on a nearby island, and
yeah.
her mission was unsuccessful. So she decided to come back to the rest of the gang, the crew.
Yeah. So then she becomes quickly she becomes she acts like the other pirate. So then the leader of the pirate doesn't suspect anything from her anymore, and makes her like
They let her in on all the secrets, etc.
and treats her like the other ones.
So this was a very different solution. So instead of ratting out on the pirates, she decided to live amongst them. Okay, now what's the ending?
She's living amongst them and she's very happy. But she decides that she doesn't want to hurt other people like pirates do. So she convinces all the pirates to become very good people and they start their own business.
Okay, that is a lovely idea. Should we move to the next story?
Or does anybody else want to add anything to it?
Yes, do they?
Okay, I think we're good. You can continue.
Okay. Let me just screen share.
Mhm.
The next story. Peter was feeling unlucky, so he decided to go and visit the fortune teller. He went there, but she was nowhere to be found. He broke open Instead, there was a fortune cookie. He broke open the fortune cookie, but there was a map on the tiny slip of paper.
I'll go next.
Sure.
So, on that tiny slip of paper was a map saying CIA ground map. So it was the map to a secret CIA base, and it also had the location and an IP address.
And she knew that that CIA base is the one that they use to talk to aliens. So that's where the aliens come and the humans talk, and that's why it's such a secret.
Oh, I'll go next. Bewildered, she asked for someone over there to see if it belonged to someone. But then, because no one answered, she went back to her house, where she grabbed a few supplies and began her trek to the CIA facility.
Can I go
Next.
next?
Sure.
When they find the aliens, they look like they're gonna eat them, but actually the aliens were really good and gave Peter powers.
Ooh, what kind of powers?
Love powers.
Can you elaborate on the power, just for everyone to understand a bit more?
Mm-hmm.
So the aliens looked like monsters, but they're actually really good aliens. And they had a lot of powers, so they gave Peter one.
Okay, so
Okay.
let's pick the power that Peter got. Which one did he get? Does anyone want to pick?
Who wants to pick?
I think.
Can I pick one?
Go ahead.
Sure.
So then she figured out that the aliens give all types of powers. So
He.
then so then he said, okay, since that is happening, I want to have the power of reading people's minds. And if that's not possible, please let me fly in the air, because Peter always wanted to figure out how it was to fly. And since he's never gone on an aeroplane, because his family was not like the families who were classic and had lots of money. He was the ones who worked for the money there.
Okay. So here I think, like Anoushka said, we've developed the character even more, right? Because now we know about his family. And what else do we know now?
Yeah, so personally, I think this story is turning out a lot better than the previous one, which means everyone is understanding and getting the hang of it. Who wants to go next?
Okay, so I can try. So far, just to make sure I'm understanding the plot. So far we know that Peter has the power to fly and to read other people's minds, right? So he decides, I'm going to be a really good person and I really want to help others. So he decides to go to the police. And in the police, he joins and he says, I'm somebody who can read the criminals' minds. So anytime there is a big problem that's going to happen, I can read and find out about it before we need the clues. So the police is very, very happy, and they take him to meet their most dreaded criminal, and they have him sit in front of him, and they say, okay, what can you find out?
But now we need to develop the problem of the story.
I have a
So
problem.
far, this was just the beginning. So who wants to develop the problem, or can I do it?
I'll
I
try.
have a problem, but if the others want to try, they can.
Okay, I think Prisha
Who
said
wants
she
to
wanted to try.
Yeah, I think she said that. So
He reached the prison cell and he took one look at the most dreaded prisoner. He looked dangerous with a lot of marks on his body and scars from all of these previous fights and all of the other attacks that he had been a part of. He concentrated on the prisoner's mind, but he couldn't find anything. It was as if the criminal had shut his mind out of the whole world. And
that was
Can I
kind of
add
my
something?
idea. So basically, as far as I'm understanding, it was as though the prisoner had a shield around his mind, and it was as though it had disappeared.
And actually,
Can I add another problem?
Sure.
So then he realized that the aliens were, when he was leaving, the aliens were trying to tell him something, but he just said, no, I don't need your thing anymore. I've got my powers. But the aliens were actually trying to tell him how to get into the person's mind. And this only happens once in 4 years. So it was really hard for him to go back. So the problem is basically now he doesn't know how to, he
He
has
doesn't
the
know
power.
how to use his powers.
Yes.
Because as you see, they're able to shut their brain down, like calm, think of nothing.
Yes.
that's a problem.
So maybe the prisoner didn't know that he had this power, but he, like how he could escape by lying to lie detectors and etc. He had the knack of doing it. So maybe unknowingly he shut his brain down.
So we
And-
can reach to a climax, I think, right?
Okay.
Or should we
Go ahead.
develop the problem?
so far we know that the problem is that Peter cannot actually read people's minds because he doesn't know how to use his powers, and B, we know that the criminal is about to do something and we don't know what he's going to do. So we need to solve both of them in the climax.
Oh wait, so we can develop the problem even further if we don't know
Yes,
the
we
prisoner's
can.
going to do something.
Can I help?
Of
Sure.
course.
Can I help with the powers?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
of course.
So then he meditated and the aliens came back. When they came back, they again said how to give the power, how to have the powers. So then he
That's
knew
the
how to use the
solution.
power.
And we first need to develop the climax. Then we need to go to the solution, or else the story will become too short. Also, like Akshara said before, the aliens only visit Earth once every 4 years. It was
Also,
by a coincidence that Peter had managed to meet them.
Okay.
And also because one of the fortune teller in the starting was actually one of the people who were going to meet the alien. That's why the fortune teller wasn't there, because she was in the back going to go for her thing, and she had forgotten to close the door and say closed.
Okay. So
I didn't mean like that.
Oh, it's okay.
sorry. Go ahead. You were saying something? Okay. So going off of what was last added to the story, where he has to meditate and get the powers back, we can add it in and solve the first problem, right? Because we know that we also have to stop the criminal. So do you think we can fit both of those in? We can do that, right?
We can. Yeah. Okay.
So how will it go?
I mean, he tried to meditate. Can we just, I think he wasn't able to meditate because he was panicking, because he wasn't able to use his powers. How would he meditate?
Right. So he slowly calms himself down and he sits in a quiet place. He just sits there and he decides to meditate and he asks the universe for help. And suddenly, and then he falls asleep. And in his dream comes the aliens, and the aliens slowly teach him how to use his powers. So what was the trick they said? What do you think they would have said?
They said one should concentrate, look into the person's eyes, concentrate about what they like, breaking down the barriers if they have any of their brain.
Okay, so now he knows how to use his powers, right?
Or we
Yes.
can add one thing that the person who reads the mind, he also has to think about why he wants to read the other person's mind, so it is not used for bad cause.
Right, that's
Yeah.
a very important
Yeah,
thing.
that's actually a really good idea. Okay, so let's use that as well. So the reason Peter wasn't able to use it before was because he was using it for his own gain. So he had been trying to read other people's minds at the full walk till the prisoner's cell. So that's why the power shut off. When he tries to use it for other people, then the powers will come back again.
Right, that
But the
really
thing
pushes
was
along.
that when Peter asked for the powers, he didn't know this. So he actually wanted to see his friends' minds to see how he thinks. So this became a problem for Peter. That can also be another problem.
Yeah, but we can include that. We can try to include it in previous in previous passages, because now we're on to the criminal and we have to talk about how the criminal and what he's planning, and
Yeah.
then we can talk about other stuff.
And time's running out too, because it's been a while since he was able to figure out why he wasn't able to read the criminal's mind. So now he only has like about 24 hours left before the criminal does something very bad. We don't know what he's doing. What do you think the criminal
So
will do?
the criminal secretly, so in his prison cell, there's a fake wall. And so what will happen is during the night, 2 a.m., he'll go behind that fake wall where he has communications with the rest of the world. And then he's planning to release an atom bomb on that secret CIA facility to blow up all the aliens.
Oh no.
And this has a 24-hour ticking timer. So this is all from the villain's point of view. Now we know what the villain is going to do.
Yeah,
The
so we can write
protagonist does
attachments
not
about
know
that.
this yet, though. So time's running out. Tick tock, tick tock.
Wait, so this story might have to be in omniscient, because we need to know what the villain's doing, because then it's going to be easier for them to read the mind.
Right. So we're all narrating the story, and you're right, in omniscient point of view.
And then a solution comes. So then when he figures out how to go into the person's mind, and then he goes from the aliens, he goes into the criminal's mind and figures out his plan. So then he goes and calls, but the thing is that not everyone knows that aliens talk to some people in the world. So this was the thing. Now he had figured out that he had to do some things by himself. So he was trying to figure now, and he's found some people who were also there while he was going to the place to see the aliens at that time. When before he got his powers, he's seen some other people that he knew, and he knew some of the places they were in. So then now even they are the ones who know about the aliens. So he went and told the plans of the criminals, what are going to do, and then they made this small type of army types who are going to stop this thing, because everyone knew without the aliens in the world and communication, the things in the world will go very bad, and criminals will start coming out of all places, because the aliens were the ones that protect the planet.
Okay.
Okay, so now let's move on to the climax. So the part with a lot of drama, a lot of tension. The
So-
excitement is like at the max.
So just that other people were also seeing the aliens. So he thought, okay, if they're seeing aliens, maybe they also have powers, right? And so then together they built an army of all the people with magic powers, and they're going to stop the criminal, right? And we need to figure out how they're going to stop the criminal.
So I have an idea for that. So first they decided to send a spy to the criminals like headquarters. So they managed to track it down after a lot of searching. And
Maybe the spy was somebody who could be invisible.
yes, the power of invisibility.
Also, it
And
might be like for
undetectability.
their training or something, so they don't like have mistakes and all. They use the ones like the smaller criminals who had just like come out and like that type. So they're not like the ones who've been out and police have not been able to catch and types. Like the ones who are like a bit easier to catch and like that types.
Also, they realized that the criminals are also building an army to go against the good guys, like the people who are trying to stop the criminals. So they need to find out the
Yeah, so
numbers
maybe
so
then
that they
after
can
that,
be
they
evenly, if not like well matched, at least evenly matched, and have so they are able to defeat them.
Okay. Yes. And Arohi, I believe.
Hello?
That's weird. Okay. We'll continue. So, what's next? They're evenly
Who wants to go
matched.
next? So they send a spy. Okay, who wants to continue the story?
So they send a spy who goes there and tells them that he wants to join the bad guys' army, right? So so he can tell all the secrets and everything back to the good.
So they can be the spy could be a double agent.
Yeah.
Okay. Who
Good
wants to
guy
go
side,
next?
right? The spy is still on the good guy side, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just being a double agent to get the information. Okay, who wants to go next?
Okay, so I can try. So the spy goes in, the invisible spy, and then he becomes visible and says, "I want, I am a he doesn't say I'm a double agent, but he is a double agent." So he secretly, because the bad guys trust him, he goes into their office and sees all these secret files and computers, and he decides, I don't know if I can read all of this because there's so much. So he just picks all of it up, and because he's invisible, anything he touches becomes invisible. So he puts all of it in a really, really, really big bag, and he takes it along with him, and he sneaks out of the compound, and he makes sure that none of the bad guys can see that he's leaving, because he knows that this atom bomb is still ticking, and they're all still planning ways to defend it and make sure that their plan is successful.
Okay. So now we need to move on to the climax, the part where the bad guys and the good guys fight. So who wants to narrate that part?
I'll do it.
Okay.
So this is the climax. So as that guy's walking out, he suddenly becomes visible. He makes a mistake. He slips up, and so all the bad guys see him. So they run after him with their swords and their guns. And so then this guy has to run, but he also has to make sure that the bomb doesn't tilt too much, otherwise it'll blow up, and the whole world will die.
Not the whole world. Just the CIA, but the bomb isn't even there.
The bomb is at the CIA thing, right? And that's why when
Yeah.
it blows up, the aliens will get hurt.
Yeah, that's what the criminal was holding the timer, but the bomb is in the place of the
But
headquarters.
Anushka, as you said, or whoever said it, the aliens are the ones who are catching all the bad guys and the criminals. So if you kill all the aliens, you're essentially
there'll be no
helping to
one,
kill the world.
there'll
Yeah,
be no
and
one.
as I said some time ago, the aliens are the ones that protect the bad guys. That's why they don't have that's why good guys win mostly. But
Yeah.
so if they kill aliens, then more of the bad guys will start coming out, and soon this world will only be filled with them.
Yeah, so you're essentially killing the world by killing the aliens.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Climax.
continue, Shrika. They're fighting, right? Continue.
They're not fighting. The
He's
spy
running away.
is trying to run.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I'll leave it up to you guys
Maybe
to
let's
carry it on.
keep the double agent as Peter, because this story is of Peter and he's just left aside, and we're talking about the double agent and the bad guys. So
Okay,
the
good idea.
double
We can have Peter have that as well. So Peter is running. And now what?
Maybe after that, after Peter is running, Peter didn't know, but the area he came from at exactly 4 p.m., which is now in the headquarters, all the guards come out and like the thing gets together and like that. And Peter had come at like 3:30ish. And it took him some time to come. So at the time he was coming out, guards were all coming out. So now the thing is that Peter is not able to get out.
So he's surrounded. What does he do next?
He ducks under the guards and runs out. And then
Peter actually had taken some martial arts and other skill practices before he'd come. So he was.
We don't need to include that. Remember, he had the second power that we discussed at the start of the story. He had the power of flying. So he hasn't used it at all. So maybe he was trying before, but it wasn't working. So he relies on his mind reading abilities. So maybe he tries to fly and it works.
Yeah, and the criminals don't have powers yet because they've not met aliens. So they've just heard of them. So maybe that's why they don't have the other powers like that. So the criminals can't try running after, but the power is too strong for them, and he just leaves with the bomb. So now they have to. Now they try and then the solution comes.
No,
so
we
now,
just still need to deactivate the bomb and see all the files.
And they have to defuse it.
So they have to call in. So they call in the bomb squad, who is specially trained for this.
Nice. Oh God, this is so nice.
So they call in the bomb squad, and the bomb squad takes a look and says, you know what? This is actually a very easy bomb to defuse. So they go in, and it takes them about 2 hours. And they go in with their knives or whatever people in bomb squads use, and
at the end.
And they
have to do it fast, the bomb squad, because Peter looked at the timer and there were only 3 hours and 2 hours are done. So now they have 1 more hour left.
So then now you're back to the point where there's only 1 second or it's only 1 minute left, and they're at the last wire. So it's either cutting the red wire or the blue wire. However, the bomb squad doesn't know which wire. I mean, they thought it was easy, but this bomb was this last thing. So if they cut the wrong wire, everyone dies. So they decide,
now
okay, let's cut the red wire. And they cut it.
I think one of the solutions can be where they don't have an idea, so they call all the enforcements, and at the count of 3, they cut both. So even if they cut one wrong, the other still goes. So then the word is then the planet.
If they cut both, then it'll blow up anyway. They have to pick. So I think we picked the red wire, right? So if they pick the red wire, why is the red wire? Just because his favorite color was red, maybe. So they picked the red wire and they were safe. I'm assuming they're safe because we want a very happy ending.
Yeah, they picked the correct wire.
And so then everybody in the world is safe. And
then at the headquarters, the people are figuring out, saying 1 second left, and then 0, and then they should hear a bomb. But then they figure out, oh, these people have ruined our plan, and they're like, next time when the
Then they got
aliens
very
come in 4
angry.
years,
Then they started hearing sirens everywhere. The police had come to capture and put the villains who had done the plan, to put them in jail. And everyone was very thankful to Peter, who had indirectly saved the day.
But then, so then they round up all the criminals, put them in jail, and everyone
then now
lives
Peter-
happily.
and
However-
now Peter is one of the people who are really famous in this world, along with the squad. And then the aliens are still a secret. And next time in 4 years when Peter meets them, the aliens are so happy that they helped the Peter, because the aliens tell them a story that once this has happened to us and no one saved us, so many of our aliens have died. So
However,
Peter saved the
suddenly
day.
Peter wakes up and he realizes that this was all a dream.
No. Okay.
Okay, that was an
Really nice.
unexpected ending.
Make it a little interesting.
And he's very happy, and then he's hungry and goes and eats breakfast.
Yeah, okay,
Like all
fine.
of us do.
Okay, let's go to the next story. The climber was lost atop a snow-covered mountain. All the paths were buried under a foot of snow, making it impossible to figure out which way to go. Just then, a white winged horse swooped down to stand quietly by his side.
and then it can go like then he so after then it can be like, so Peter
Not
then
Peter.
Oh,
Not
yeah, wait.
Peter.
Climber.
Oh yeah, we have to make another name.
What's the
So,
climber's name?
It can it be a girl or a boy or
It's
any? So then we can name it Mary.
Okay.
Name her Mary. So then it can be like one. So Peter, I keep on saying Peter. So when Mary saw the white horse, she was very happy because it had been a very big dream to see something that's so mystical. And and something she'd never. Yeah. So then she was so happy, and then someone else can continue.
So she was so happy to see, I think it's Pegasus, right? Is that what we're calling the horse?
It is a Pegasus.
Okay.
She
So
decided to name the horse Pegasus.
Pegasus.
Okay.
Yep.
So she was so
Nice name.
excited to see Pegasus. And I think somebody else can continue.
Penguins.
Sorry?
She saw penguins.
Yes, she saw penguins.
Oh, nice.
When
On-
she
on
said
the
the name
mountain.
Pegasus, she saw a penguin
Wait,
came
no,
out.
no. Wait.
Because she's flying on Pegasus's back.
Oh,
And so she flew all the way down to Antarctica and she saw penguins. And you know what else she saw? She saw that a whole lot of ice was melting because of global warming.
Polar
Penguins
bears.
are very sad.
Polar bears.
Polar bears are on the other side of the world. Unless, like, she flew. Okay.
So she could have checked the other side as well. So then she went all the way to the North Pole. But the problem
And
is,
she had never visited, she'd gone to many places, but had never ever visited the places like that. So then she said she was happy, and she was so happy that she started screaming. And then then she was like, yay! And then she was like one of the girls that love parties. So she's like, we should have a party. And then she's like, oh, but we're outside and there's none of my friends here.
Okay. But then she remembered a news article from a few days ago. It said that there was a sighting of a winged horse that everyone wanted to catch, and they wanted to make money out of it and sell it, a lot of different things. So for the horse's safety, it had to remain a secret.
Yes,
Who wants to
and
continue?
the other people were, but Mary was actually a girl who like was kind and didn't want many people, things to be just sold away and just like been given like normal
She didn't want the horse to be treated badly.
Yeah, so she said, okay, I have to keep this a secret because if anyone else knows, then they will try to sell it. And she couldn't tell her parents either because her parents actually were the ones who were trying to make money.
So now she has to protect the horse, and that's the problem, right? Because she can't tell anyone,
Yeah.
but she still wants to protect.
And Mary was actually one of the people who never kept secrets from her family. So it was a problem for her because Mary had never been like that before.
She wasn't used to keeping secrets. She
Yes.
wasn't a very good secret keeper.
So now what is she going to do with the horse?
Who wants to say?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
The neighbors found out that the horse.
Oh, no,
so
the
I
neighbors
think-
found the
I think-
house.
The neighbors found out that she knew where the horse was. So now we've got another problem, because if no one was supposed to know for the horse's safety, so now
And her neighbors were actually one of the people who were really rude and kept on shouting at people and always like lied to people saying that, oh yes, we have found this. And so basically they were really bad neighbors.
they weren't good people.
Yeah.
So now they probably wanted to capture the horse, right? Because they want to make money. So
now
how does Mary save it?
who wants to say that part?
But first there has to be a climax, right?
No.
We're building up to it, right?
We're building up to the climax. Then we'll build up to the solution. Then we'll go to the ending. It has to be gradual. Who wants to continue?
Okay. Anoushka, what do you think? What do you think we should say?
She took the horse and all of them are slept.
She took the horse and
Night.
all of them were sleeping. That's a good idea. So at night, she snuck off with the horse.
When everyone else was sleeping, so she went quietly. So she went to another part of the world, maybe a very quiet place where there was not a lot of people.
Where should we have her go? Maybe she went back to the penguins.
Yeah,
Because there's nobody
maybe
there.
she went back to Antarctica because it's one of the least inhabited places in the world.
But how can she take a horse to Antarctica?
It's a
It's
flying
not
horse.
live there.
A magical horse.
Oh,
Maybe it's
Okay.
adapted to flying around like to different temperatures.
okay. So what will the horse eat? What does Pegasus eat?
She took the horse and left her friends.
Yeah, she had to leave her friends behind. She was very sad about that. But she has to protect the horse, so she went to Antarctica. And what does Pegasus eat?
It usually eats hay and grains, but I don't know what the magical horse eats.
And also one more thing was that she said to her parents she did not keep secrets from her friends. Like her friends used to tell her everything. They were like, it was actually like she's telling her brain everything, and what she's thinking is known to her friends, like that types.
Okay, so now maybe we can have, it's a magical horse. So what is something that maybe the horse doesn't need food, or maybe it eats snow. Well, that's just water. It's a magical horse. We can do anything, right? It's our story.
That can be a problem too. She doesn't know what to give it, and maybe that, and then she figures out that if you don't give the correct food to that horse, it can.
Maybe she found in an old library.
It traveled around the world and found places.
That could be the ending. That's like a good ending.
Yes.
So, anyways, maybe she found an old book about Pegasi, like flying horses, Pegasi. So, if each Pegasi eats a different kind of food, so if you don't give the correct food, the horse will die. And this was one of the Pegasi were an endangered species. So that's another problem that we need to solve it in the story. Who wants to go next?
Okay, I can try. So far the problem is we don't know what the horse eats, right? So she's searching through her books, and she's having trouble because she's a young person, and it's in very, very old English, so it's very difficult to read. But she keeps persevering, and she keeps trying, and she finally sees a page, and it has a picture of a horse that looks exactly like the Pegasus she rides, and it says that Pegasus can eat what? What should it eat?
Anything it wants.
Anything it wants. Okay. So, so that makes it easy for her, right? So she can give it anything. So she goes into the ocean since she's in Antarctica, and she's able to see that there's some water plants or something living around the bottom. So she gives it that.
And
then since she also is allowed to give anything, she finds something that has actually been rare for a really long time, and it's like this type of a weed that has not been found in a million years. So she's like the first person to find it. So now she has two things that are really valuable. So she can make a decision. She can either she can either give her she send the secret to everyone, or about her having weed and all, or she can have the thing and not tell anyone about it. So she chooses not to tell anyone and to keep the horse instead of selling it.
Maybe she finds some fish and some weeds, like how Shreya said. So maybe she gives that to the horse, and since Mary's guess was correct, thankfully, and the horse is able to eat anything it wants, so the horse manages to eat it.
So then she and the horse are very, very happy, and they decide that they want to make other people happy too. So what they decide is together they're going to give free rides for kids to go to different wonders of the world and to different places so that they can have fun.
But people still want to steal the horse.
So
how do we fix that? Who has an idea?
You go. Okay.
So maybe she realizes that the people want to sell it because they're scared of it. They don't know how it reacts, and it's a very human nature to be scared of things, scared of the unknown. So maybe she manages to convince everyone that it's very harmless.
Right, and then she shows that it eats plants and anything it wants, so they don't have to be worried about it eating anything important to them. So now they're not scared.
With her friends.
What did you say?
She leaves her horse for her friends.
Right. So then she and her friends, together they can ride the horse, right? And go to all these wonderful places in the world.
But that can't be because she said that her friends are also, if she tells her friends, then her friends will tell the others, and then soon the news will pass.
But now
Oh, but
everybody's not scared.
everyone's not scared of it.
No, but that's what the thing is. So maybe it can, if she tells them, then no one's scared. They just want to sell it, so to get more money. And that is one of the things her friends had. So she can't tell them.
So I think that they wanted to sell it because they wanted to sell it to somebody who's going to keep it in a cage because they were all very scared of it, right?
So since we saw, then so maybe maybe she convinces them that it can't be caged, and if you cage it and if you sell it, it can teleport. It's a magical horse, so it can teleport back to wherever it wants. It's impossible.
And now it will teleport back to her because she's been so kind to it.
But the good thing is
And in the
nobody's
book she
scared of
read,
it.
it said people who have been kind to their horse and have been good and like that.
The first person who's kind to it and does not try to capture it, first person it trusts becomes its master. So maybe the horse now belongs to Mary, and she and the horse have many adventures together. That could be the ending, unless anyone else has a better idea or like another idea.
No, I like that ending. And like how we previously added to the story, they give children free rides to amazing places in the world so that they can learn more about the environment around them.
I know, right? That's
Then
a great ending.
and also the thing is for free.
Great ending.
And so maybe it can be like the children who can't afford to go there on planes and all are able to go on this horse because it's for free, and they're able to go all around the world to the places they like.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Prisha, did you say something?
Oh, I said it was a great ending.
Yeah, great ending. Nice story. It went from being lost on a mountain to giving people free rides with a horse.
Yeah.
Maybe they were giving free rides to the mountain. Who knows?
Oh, nice.
No, but the
I don't think-
creativity.
You can like get the mountain and like give it free rides, but
No. The horse and Mary together give children free rides to the mountain where she met the horse.
oh, and maybe later they find other horses.
A
That
whole
are-
herd of them.
Yeah, maybe
And then
that-
soon there are so many horses that everyone gets one, but one of the rules of having it is that anyone who becomes even a bit rude to it, Mary changes the rules, the horse will immediately fly away from that person. So
Very
if
good
they
idea.
become
like how
Nice.
immediately
rude to that
the
person,
horse will
then they
accept
can't have it.
will choose its master. Like so like the horse chooses which person it wants to be with. So
Ah.
if
And
the
it
horse
can
doesn't like
choose
you, then-
twice or thrice. So if one person, the person has been nice in the start and then starts being rude or bad, that the horse can just immediately fly away and make a new master.
That's a good idea. That way we protect the horse too. So I really liked this story. This is a really, really fun story. And I liked all the 3 stories we made. Right? Super fun. So I think that's it.
this is the end.
Okay. So then I wanted to thank you, Anoushka. This was actually a really, really, really fun session. And I enjoyed making all these stories. And maybe we should do this again. We can all make more stories with more plot lines, and we can explore each other's creativity. To all of those who are watching, we have many, many such fun sessions here at EBC. And if you would like your child to actively participate in these sessions, please join the Early Birds Club, and you can register at www.earlybirdsclub.org. You can also learn more on that same website, and you can also learn more on our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Early Birds Teens. Thank you so much, and thank you, Anoushka. Thank you to all the participants. Bye.
Bye.